Hello everyone! I've been wanting to make a video about creating EDB files for a while, and I finally have a little bit of time today to show you how to make EDB files and how to save them and use them in your classroom. First of all, what is an EDB file? An EDB file is basically an image or group of images that you can use directly in your classroom on the Blackboard. So you create the file on the Blackboard, then you save it, and then when you use it in the classroom, you use it on your Blackboard again. This would be something that you can supplement your lessons for. Of course, you could technically could build an entire lesson using an EDB file, but I personally use them more as a supplement to my lessons since I use PowerPoint with my students. So first I want to show you just a couple EDB files that I've already created and how I use them. So like I said, I use them more as a supplement for my classes. For example, like a sorting activity. That way the student can drag the objects, and it's just another way for me to evaluate that they understand what we are learning. So I made my own file, as you can see in my file system here in my drive. I made a file for my EDB files that I make. And then when I'm ready to use one of them, I just copy it, or not copy it, but move it to the file for the student that I'm going to use it for that day. And then when I'm done, I move it back into my EDB files so I can find them a lot easier by a search. So if you take a look at all the EDBs that I have, a couple I got from other teachers and a lot of them that I made myself. So here is build a farm. So this was something that I did just for a fun activity at the end of class if there was extra time. So if I pull it up, you can see what the student's also going to see. I have my farm, and then I have my animals, and this is just a fun building activity. So the student could drag and put the farm animals wherever they want. And we could practice the words, the animal names, farmer, all kinds of ways that you can use this as extension and a fun activity for the students. Students like to be able to drag the objects, and they can't do that in PDF or PowerPoint. So there is one EDB that I created. So now I'm going to pull up another one, and you're going to notice when I pull up my next one, I'm going to have an option to choose. So let me find another. Here's syllables. So when I click on that, it's going to ask me if I want to clear the current Blackboard content. If I say no, it's going to open it on top of this. So obviously I don't want to do that. It's always going to go on top. So when you open a new EDB, here's my syllables. I want to choose yes, and then it'll erase the other EDB and open a new one. So this one was a supplement to a class we were learning about syllables. So the student was able to drag, they say the word, they drag it if it was 1 syllable, 2 syllables, or 3 syllables. So that was a fun extension with one of my students. And then another way I use it is with a reading lesson. So with a couple of my students, I use the reading A to Z, and I like to use graphic organizers as the student is reading. And it's difficult to do that when you're using a PowerPoint or a PDF because you can't keep the graphic organizer open with the story. So what I do, let me pull up if I can find one. Let's see. Jobs on the farm. Let's see what this one was. Okay, so here I built it over to the left because me and my student have our classes over on the right. Let me open my window layout. So when I have my PowerPoint open, it's covering my EDB. So we're reading the book, we're talking about the book, and then I can just minimize my PowerPoint, and then my graphic organizer is here, and the student can write on it. So as we were talking about jobs on the farm, we put feed the pig. That was on one page. And then I open the story and we continue to read. And then at the next page, we might stop, close the book, and then it asks, what is another job on the farm? And then the student could write that. That way we have both of these open at the same time, but it's easy for me to close one and have the EDB file behind it ready to go. I don't have to worry about opening two different files at the same time. So I like using these for my reading lessons as well. So now that you kind of see how you can use EDB files in the classroom, now I'm going to show you how to make an EDB file. So first of all, I'm going to clear this. Whenever you put any type of image on your Blackboard, you have to delete everything if you want to create a new EDB file. You don't want to scroll down because when you go to save it, it's going to save everything that is on your Blackboard, including this up here. So you want to have a fresh Blackboard before you create your EDB. Since I'm not opening another one, I have to delete this. A lot of people ask, how do I delete things quickly and easily? Well, yes, you can go through and delete every single piece individually by using it's called select and move. I call it my drag and drop because that's what students use to drag and move objects. So you can use that, or you can use the trash can. So using the drag and drop to select everything you want to delete, it's kind of like highlighting text in a Word document. I'm going to go to the top corner where I see my mouse. I'm going to drag over everything, and you're going to notice a big box around it, and then I'm going to hit the trash can at the bottom. So you're wondering, why didn't this delete? Well, the reason this did not delete is because it is locked. So to delete things that are locked, you can do the same thing. You can drag over it, but first you have to hit the lock button to unlock it, and then delete. So now I have a fresh Blackboard ready to make an EDB file. So when I make an EDB, there are a few ways to add images or objects. If you're making a chart, like a Venn diagram, you can build it directly using the tools. So I have my drawing tool, there's the circles and squares. So you can easily make a circle. You can choose the color you want, the thickness you want, and then I'm going to use my drag and drop tool to select it and move it where I want. If I'm using something that I want a big space, I will take up the whole space in my Blackboard. If it's something that's not going to take up a lot of space, I might keep it to the left because, like I said, in my classroom, me and my student are always on the right side. So I might want to be able to keep me and my student over here and be able to use the EDB file at the same time. If I'm doing that, I want to keep it over here, so I'll put my image where I want it, and I'll build it so I make sure I'm not overlapping with our images. If I need a lot of space, like I'm dragging pictures into the Venn diagram, I might just move me and my student up to the top while we do the activity. So that's something to keep in mind when you're building your EDB. Do I need a lot of space? Will I need to move me and my student to the top? Or can I keep me and my student over where I keep us in the classroom and build in the space that's provided? So think about that as you're building your EDB. So I'm just going to do this as filling up the entire space. So I made my first circle, and instead of having to create two circles, you can duplicate. So if you look at the bottom, there's options. You can change the color if you want the circle a different color, different thickness. Those are all options that you can choose. Then over here, you have bring to front or bring to back. That would be if you have like a pictures you're dragging on top of other pictures, like my farm. You want to make sure the animals are on top of the farm picture, not behind it. So that changes if it's in the front or the back of other images. And then the two squares, some reason there's no words that pop up. This is your duplicate. So I'm going to click on that, and it makes the same circle, same size, and I can move it to make my Venn diagram. One thing I really like about building inside the EDB files is they have these guidelines that help you line things up, which I like things to be perfect in the right spot, so it's really helpful to make sure everything's lined up correctly. So I see my circles are lined up well, and I could put them here. For things that you don't want the student to move on accident, you can lock them. So once you have it in the spot you want, I'm going to use the lock button, but actually I'm going to move it over here because I'm going to fill up my whole space and I want my images on the left. So I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to select the circle and I'm going to lock it. I'm going to select this circle and I'm going to lock it. So now I cannot move these images unless I unlock them first. Now to add words. You can add words directly in the classroom using the text tool. So I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose my largest and I'm going to use blue. So let's say over here, let's say I'm comparing, because I'm going to be doing my reptiles and fish unit pretty soon. So let's go ahead and make my Venn diagram for my fish and my reptiles. And then to move the words where I want them, I'm going to go to my drag and drop tool, move the words lined up in the middle using my little lineup tool. Now it's all lined up where I want it. I don't want the students to move the words, so I'm going to lock reptiles and I'm going to lock fish. So now I have my Venn diagram. If this was an older student, I might not use images. I might just have them right in the Venn diagram. Then I wouldn't need a lot of space. That way I would just have me and my student on the right and put the Venn diagram on the left. If it's a younger student, I would probably want to use pictures. So to add pictures, you cannot do that directly in the classroom unless you have the pictures saved to your drive. But I don't do that when I'm creating EDBs because I don't want to fill up my drive with stuff that I don't need. So when I build my EDBs, I just go on the internet. So let's say I'm trying to find pictures for fish and reptiles. So I'm going to open my internet browser, go to images, and let's see. We're talking about characteristics of fish and reptiles, so I might look up the word scales for my images. Okay, oh, that's not the scales that I want. So I'm going to type in animal scales. Okay, so here's some good pictures of scales. So let's say I want this one. In order to put it in my EDB, all you have to do is copy image, go over here. You can't right click to paste, so you have to do Control V to paste into your box. It always makes images huge. I don't know why. So you will have to resize them. Very simple. Go to the corner, make it as small as you want, and then I'm going to put it over here because this is where they're going to be dragging from. So let's think of another characteristic, of our fish and reptiles. I'll just do a couple. So let's do fins. Okay, some of these are not the ones I want, so we will put fish fins. I like clip art, so I'm going to put clip art after it. And still not very good images of fins, but we'll just do a picture of a fish for right now, just to keep it simple. So when you're using an image like a fish, I like to use ones with transparent backgrounds. So you'll notice when this fish popped up, the white turned into this checkerboard. When you see that checkerboard, you know it's going to have a transparent background. So now when I copy and paste this fish over to my classroom, you're not going to have the white around it. So I'm going to copy and paste. So now you have just the fish. A trick if you have a hard time finding an image that you like with the transparent background. Oops, wrong one. There is a website you can go to called remove.bg. I love, love, love this site. I'll show you how it works. Very simple. So let me find one that does not have a transparent background. That one does. Let's see, that one does. Of course, I'm going to find all the ones that already do. Okay, so this fish, notice it stayed white around the fish. So if I copy and paste, I'll show you. Copy and paste. Oh, come on. Delete. Let's try that one more time. Copy image. and paste. So now you see it has the big white border. I don't like those on my EDBs. They just don't look nice. They take up a lot of space. So I don't want to use that fish. I could find one that has a transparent background already, but every once in a while I'll find a picture that I really, really like, and I can't find it without the white background. So I'm going to open my website, remove.bg. Very simple. I just drag the image and drop it over here. It's now removing the background, and now you see the checkerboard. And then you can download it. I don't think you can copy and paste. Let's see, it might. Oh, it worked. So I can just copy and paste it directly from the remove.bg website, and now I don't have that white border taking up space. So, little trick that I learned, how to get rid of the backgrounds and make them transparent for your EDB files. Okay, so now I have 3 images. I'm just going to keep it simple. You could add more, and I'm done. So my images over here, I want them to be movable. The images over here, I want them to be locked. So now I'm going to save this EDB file. To do that, you're going to go to your little toolkit over here. You're going to click on the Save/Share Board File. So I click here. You're going to see your image over here, and I'm going to save to the drive. You cannot save this to the local, I don't think, because that would be saving it to your computer. So you want to save it to your drive because that's the only place you can use the EDB files. So I go here. I can make my file name. You can't use a lot of different symbols, so just keep it simple. I'll just make fish and reptile Venn diagram. And then where you want to save it, you can just save it to your drive. I like to save mine to my file that I created for EDB. Confirm. Everything here should stay the same. And click confirm. And it says save successful. So now I'm going to delete everything. So again, highlight, delete. These were locked, so I'm going to highlight again, unlock, and delete. So now, pretend I'm in my classroom with my student. All I would have to do is go to the drive. I would have to just find it. Looks like it's still loading. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Oh, there we go. So now it's in your classroom to use. And then if you are done with it and you don't need to use another EDB file, you can always just scroll down and use the Blackboard space that you need. Another way to add charts to your EDB, if you don't want to use the classroom tools, you can use PowerPoint. So I used this a couple times for making tables. So let's say I want to make a chart to sort like I did with my syllables. So you make however many columns you want. I'm just going to keep this simple. You can do whatever you want with it. And then all you would have to do is same thing like you did with the images from the internet. Copy, go to your classroom, Control V. Again, it's going to be huge and you have to make it smaller. The only problem with the charts is you can't change the size like left to right, up and down. They can only be changed from the corners, bigger to smaller. So make sure you have it the way you want it in your PowerPoint before you put it into your Blackboard. That way you can resize it the way that you want. And then you can always use your text tool to add any text that you want to each column. And then it's ready to go. Save it. Use it in your next class. I sometimes also create like templates. So for example, I have a tic-tac-toe board. So this is just empty. I would want it prepared before class because I don't want to go into class and have to type in, oh no, I need to type in all my words before that we're ready to play the game. That takes up too much time. So what I did was I created my template, and then before class, I could go in, type in all my words. Let's say first a shirt, pants, socks, whatever words you want in there. And then you can save it. When I save it, it creates a new file. So it's not going to erase the template, the tic-tac-toe board that I already created. It's just going to make a new file. So I'll still have my regular tic-tac-toe board that's empty, and then I'll have the tic-tac-toe board that I saved for my class with the words that I want. So hopefully that answers all of the questions about creating and saving EDBs. I hope I did not forget anything, but if you think I did, if you have another question about anything that I created, how I created it, please let me know and I will try to answer that for you. But hopefully this helps you get started on creating your own EDB files in your classroom. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.